are now watching The Beach.
The presentation of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks is always brought up. Most of them look drastically different from the 48 tracks in the base game, and not in a good way either. When you compare the base tracks to the DLC tracks, the difference is night and day. The reason why the tracks look this way is because they're directly from Mario Kart Tour, but that doesn't change the fact that these DLC tracks look incredibly jarring. Many have expressed criticism towards the presentation, and oftentimes they're met with responses like, "You only care about graphics," or my personal favorite, "It's just a different art style." And this goes beyond just Mario Kart. I find these notions to be absolutely absurd, because the presentation of a game is incredibly important, and it goes way beyond the textures of a tree or the polygonal count of flowers. There's a famous saying in gaming that goes like this: "Good graphics don't make a good game." And there is some truth to that. Graphics alone will not make a good game. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, for example, is an excellent looking game, but the game itself is bad. This is a saying that was often brought up in the Wii era. People would dismiss Wii games solely because they didn't look as good as PlayStation 3 games or Xbox 360 ones. But here's the thing, the Wii was not very powerful, but that didn't stop it from having incredible looking games. Games like the Super Mario Galaxy games, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Kirby's Epic Yarn and Return to Dreamland, Wario Land Shake It, and many others have stood the test of time and still look great. And guess what? None of those games were developed to be in HD, so why do they still look great? It's because the developers were passionate about them and had a vision for an art direction. The technical limitations were understood, but that didn't stop the developers from creating incredible looking games. Claiming a Wii game is bad because it doesn't look as good as a PlayStation 3 game is absurd, because the Wii isn't capable of doing so. That is where the argument of good graphics don't make a better game has weight. This really applies to retro gaming in general. A game like Super Mario Sunshine is going to be 2 decades old, but it still looks incredible thanks to the beautiful tropical theming. Same can be said for even older games, such as Super Nintendo ones. Yoshi's Island, for example, still looks incredible, and the Donkey Kong Country trilogy still impresses me even to this day. Now sure, I wasn't around when the trilogy wrapped up in '96, but I can still appreciate the games as they were technical marvels at the time. But when you look at things like Pokemon Sword and Shield and the Mario Kart DLC, it's a completely different story. Nintendo has showcased time and time again that they can make incredible looking games. This became especially apparent with the jump to HD starting with the Wii U. With less technical limitations, games could finally show their full potential. Nowhere was this more apparent than with Mario Kart 8. Earlier Wii U games like Super Mario 3D World looked great, but Mario Kart 8 was the first game to completely blow me away. The attention to detail is incredible. The tracks look phenomenal. One of the strongest aspects of Mario Kart 8 is the presentation, and it's a huge part of the experience. Luigi's Mansion 3 is another great example. It's the best looking game Nintendo has ever made, hands down. So good that it often feels like a Pixar movie while you're playing the game. And then you have games that not only have great presentations, but are defined by them. Yoshi's Crafted World goes all out with the crafted theme by having the levels look like they were made with different materials. Not only that, but the gameplay takes advantage of it. Same goes for games like Kirby's Epic Yarn and Yoshi's Woolly World. And even though I'm not a fan of the current state of Paper Mario, I won't deny Color Splash and Origami King are beautiful looking games. To be fair, I did like Origami King, but man, I just wish Paper Mario would go back to the way it used to be. This isn't just limited to Nintendo games. Games have incorporated many different art styles into their presentation. Shovel Knight was designed to be a modern retro game, and it has a pixel art style. Cuphead is known for its classic rubber hose cartoon style, and even games like Minecraft and Fortnite have very distinct, but memorable art styles. Shovel Knight has a presentation similar to a Super Nintendo game. Does that make it lazy? Absolutely not, because the art direction was designed around the pixel style. But how is it much different than something like the DLC tracks? The DLC tracks are directly from Mario Kart Tour, a mobile game. Mario Kart Tour has a minimalistic look, considering it needs to run on many different devices, and in Mario Kart Tour's case, it's okay and it makes sense. but for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to reuse them without even attempting to keep them in line with the base tracks comes off as incredibly jarring. Then we look at a game like Pokemon Sword and Shield. Oh, it's just the art style of the game! Quit complaining! Ah yes, because I absolutely adore Pop-In and Nintendo 64 level textures. Both the DLC tracks and Pokemon Sword and Shield look visually unimpressive. Okay, what just happened? Why did the video suddenly drop in quality? Because it's just the art style of the video now. All jokes aside, your expectation of this video is what you've been watching up until this point. It's absurd to go from an Elgato capture card and Shure mic to a phone camera and a laptop mic, especially in the same video. And that right there perfectly sums up the issue with the presentation of the DLC tracks, and the same applies to how underwhelming Sword and Shield look compared to other Switch games. The presentation of a game absolutely matters. Let me ask you this, if Luigi's Mansion 3 didn't have an incredible presentation, would your experience still be the same? If Kirby's Epic Yarn didn't go for the yarn art style, would it still be as charming? If Shovel Knight and Cuphead didn't have the distinct art directions, would they be as revered? The presentation is always an important aspect of any game, and although gameplay is the most important factor, the presentation can greatly enhance the experience. Good graphics alone won't make a good game, but they will make a good game potentially incredible. But believe it or not, the graphics of something like the DLC tracks aren't the main problem. The presentation is often indicative of a game's quality. I've played the DLC tracks and honestly, most of them are not designed well. Since they're directly from Tor, they're often short. This is especially apparent with tracks such as Sky Garden. Toad Circuit and Shroom Ridge aren't improved in any way and are the weakest tracks in the game, and Coconut Mall doesn't even have moving cars in the parking lot. You know what tracks in the DLC are good though? Ninja Hideaway or any of the city tracks, and ironically enough, some of them are on par with the base tracks. Then we get into Pokemon Sword, oh boy. Obviously it doesn't even have the national decks, but it also doesn't have the GTS, it doesn't have a way to turn off experience share, as well as a plethora of other problems. It's an absolute mess of a game, and when I make a retrospective on it, I'm not holding anything back. And it's also poorly optimized. I was catching a Pokemon, and guess what? The game crashed. If it was a shiny, I could assure you guys, I'd never want to play another modern Pokemon game again. As I stated before, sometimes bad games can have stellar presentations, but when it comes to my favorite games of all time, it's hard to find one that doesn't have a great art direction. Simply put, the presentation of a game matters because it's a major part of the experience. The phrase "good graphics don't make a better game" is misused from its initial point of validating retro games or games on weaker hardware to defend laziness. Take a look at this. There are two types of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe players in 2022. Those who highly enjoy this unrivaled gameplay, and those obsessed with the visual quality of the grass. Guess which ones have the happier lives? Oh, that's easy. It would be the ones criticizing the visual quality of the grass, because they clearly know what grass is supposed to look like, because they've actually been outside. And unrivaled, it's called Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So there you have it. The topic of graphics in gaming is quite nuanced, and hopefully this sheds some light on the topic. But in the meantime, I'll be playing some Kirby and the Forgotten Land and having an iced coffee. Now that is what I call a happy life. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and as always, keep calm and da-da on.